is next for your Dennis Ugas? Let's talk about it.
Straighter, not roundhouse right hand.
And that's what we've been talking about, the straight shot. The one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill
Pull
somebody
back
for
a little bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right? I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
Welcome to the graveyard. Click the link if you dare to. Bury you alive, I'm prepared to. Welcome to the graveyard. You get your sources from clowns, so when you come around, we don't hear you. Welcome to the graveyard. Click the link if you dare to. Bury you alive, I'm prepared to. Welcome to the graveyard. You get your sources from clowns, so when you come around, we don't hear you. Yo, it's the best, fight the best. If you ain't with the moto, just click the link, bitch, and get buried like the rest. It ain't gonna work how you want it. These trolls already tried, too many come but don't leave. So if you hear, you gotta die. I'm spitting straight facts. These bitches crying cause they hate that. The LDBC's the top topic, bitch, hate that. We the ones that bring the truth to these fans. So while you hate, I'ma laugh and keep counting these bands. Welcome to the graveyard. Click the link, get prepared to. Bury you alive, I'm prepared to. Welcome to the graveyard. You get your sources from clowns, so when you come around, we don't hear you. Welcome to the graveyard. Click the link if you dare to. Bury you alive, I'm prepared to. Welcome to the graveyard. You get your sources from clowns, so when you come around, we don't hear you.
Welcome to the graveyard.
With potentially Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao becoming back the WBA Super Champion, which again was within the WBA's rules to do. I showed everybody that it could be done, and it looks like apparently they did that. So with this being said, with this being done, what's next for Ugas? Well, Ugas becomes the WBA regular champion again. He never lost that. So it's not really what happened, what's up with Ugas. It's more what's up with Jamal James, who was a WBA regular champion. What the hell does he do now? Do they just create another one? Whatever, whole nother video. But right now, your Dennis Ugas is still in a good position. Your Dennis Ugas can claim the winner of Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao is not the real WBA Super Champion. He still can claim that. He has a foot in the door to the winner if he doesn't fight Keith Thurman, which is still a good ass fight. Keith Thurman and your Dennis Ugas. That's a great fight. That either one of those guys can win. And either one of them will have a claim to a fight with the winner of Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao. So Ugas is not he's not in no deep water just because it seems like they removed his WBA super strap and gave it back to Manny Pacquiao, who was a champion in recess, without fighting a champion. Again, there's a clause in the WBA's rules that says they can give it back to the champion if they deem so. And it looks like they may have deemed so. With that being said, your Dennis Ugas versus Keith Thurman is still a good fight. Your Dennis Ugas versus Terrence Crawford is still a good fight. That is the road that Crawford should be looking at, because your Dennis Ugas gives Crawford validity. All right, he gives him validity. You get back a fight that you lost in the amateurs. You schooled him. You were schooled in the amateurs, 27-10. You get that loss back. Yes, it's the amateurs, blah blah blah. Yada, doesn't matter. You get that back. Then from there, you can have a claim to be you are the real WBA Super Champion. You have that claim. You can beat your Dennis Ugas for the WBA regular belt and be like, oh, no, I'm the real WBA Super. And here's the talk all over again between you and Errol or you and Pacquiao. That's if you beat Ugas, which I really don't think you can, bro. I really don't think he can beat Ugas. Can he? Could he potentially? Of course, anybody can lose. But my opinion, based on what I've seen, I don't think he beats Ugas. I do not think so. I think Terrence Bud Crawford and Ugas go the distance, and I think Ugas might beat this man quite handily, but we'll see. We'll see. Bud is not a bum. It's just his level of competition is bummy. So then you get to looking at him like, damn, is he really the goods? Is he really the goods if the level of competition is bummy? Whole nother topic. But your Dennis Ugas is still in a good position. He's not in a bad position at all. He's still, I understand the WBA linking their belt back to Pacquiao or back to the winner of Errol Spence and Pacquiao. I understand that. It's a money move for the WBA. Although it's well within their rights and their rules to do so, it's still a money move. All right, it's a money move. But your Dennis Ugas is not, he's not just thrown in the trash. He's not gone. He's not out of it. He's still right there. Still right there. He's still a viable opponent for Keith Thurman. He's a viable opponent for Mikey Garcia. He's a viable opponent for Jerome Boots Ennis. He's a viable opponent for Keith Thurman. For Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford needs to go after Ugas fully. If it's not Ugas for Terrence Crawford, it needs to be Keith Thurman. Those are the only two fights, because you're not going to fight Sean Porter, so you can just move that one out. And you already said you're not fighting Virgil Ortiz. The two fights that will give this man validity, the main one is Keith Thurman. But just because Keith Thurman didn't lose to Errol Spencer or didn't lose to Sean Porter, nothing like that, that's the main one. But Ugas gives Bud validity too. And being that this is about Ugas, Bud should go after Ugas. Keith Thurman doesn't have a belt. He does have big wins under his belt, but he doesn't have a belt. Although the belts don't really make motherfuckers, but you said that you want undisputed. That's what you said. That's what you said. All right. No, you said that. So you should be getting it. Your Dennis Ugas puts you one step closer. Keith Thurman, not so much. Your Dennis Ugas does, because he actually has a claim to a title. Keith Thurman doesn't have a claim to a title at all. He has no claim, but he has big fights under his belt. So that's a big fight for Bud, is Keith Thurman. And it's a big fight. It's a bigger money fight than Ugas. It's a better option than Ugas. Keith Thurman is a better option just simply because of his name. Ugas will always, yes, he's tied to a belt. Yes, Ugas is. But Ugas is also tied to a Sean Porter loss. So Bud probably going after Keith Thurman is probably a better option for Terrence Crawford. But Ugas is a very good one too. That's not a bad option. That is a very good option. Both those are good options. And if you want to go in line with money, if you want to go in line with prestige, go to Keith Thurman route. But if you want to go with more validity, more in line of what you claim you wanted, you want to be the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And that, if you want to go with more in line with what you claim you want, fight Ugas. Terrence Crawford versus Ugas. Ugas is in actually a pretty good position, bro. Yes, I get it. The WBA Super got removed from him, but it doesn't matter. He still has a claim to. He can say, I was WBA Super. You were gifted that. I was a WBA Super. I actually fought. You were out of Manny Pacquiao. You were out of boxing for 2 years, and by the rules, yeah, I know there's one little snippet in the rules that says, according to the WBA sanctioning body, we can just make the champion in recess the champion again if he fights a viable opponent. If he fights a good ass opponent, pretty much. That's pretty much what the rule says. The WBA champion in recess can be reinstated as the WBA Super Champion if they fight a viable opponent or a good ass opponent. In a nutshell. Now you're supposed Manny Pacquiao, the big headlight, the main topic, the main line in the paragraph is champion in recess must fight interim champion or must fight champion who became champion because you went in recess, pretty much. But then the fine print says, or champion in recess can become champion again if you fight a good ass opponent. Based on the governors, the board of governors of the WBA voting on it and saying, yes, this guy's a good enough opponent, so we'll reinstate the WBA super champion in recess. We will reinstate him because they are fighting this person, which is what the WBA seems to have done. If you look at BoxRec, it has all 3 belts on there on the line against for Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. So, your Dennis Ugas is in a good ass position. He's got claim to the WBA. He's got claim to being a real champion. You know what I'm saying? He never lost his belt. So he's in a good ass position to get the Keith Thurman fight or to get the Terrence Crawford fight. good ass position. Or to get the Mikey Garcia fight or the Virgil Ortiz fight. Dennis Ugas can fight Virgil Ortiz. That's a good ass fight for Virgil Ortiz. It's a great fight for Dennis Ugas. That's another name, another notch in his belt. Dennis Ugas can fight Sean Porter in the rematch. He can fight Amir Khan, who's not retired. He can fight Kell Brook, who's not retired. Dennis Ugas has a lot of options. Maybe Kell Brook did retire. I gotta look at that. But he's got a lot of options. He can get the rematch with Sean Porter. He can fight Keith Thurman, Terrence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz, Mikey Garcia, Jerron Boots Ennis. That is a damn good fight, and it puts Boots Ennis that much closer to the top dudes. It put him that much closer to getting a fight with Errol, that much closer to a fight with Terrence Crawford. Go beat Dennis Ugas. Dennis Ugas is in a great position. He's in a power position when you actually look at it. Not so much with Errol and but more with Terrence. More with Crawford. Not so much with Errol. Not without that WBA super. But more with Terrence because it gives Terrence validity. More with Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman hasn't fought in anybody. And then those other guys, he's like right smack dab in the middle. Everybody's around him. Everybody's around him. Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence are looking face to face with each other, and everybody else, all the other names, are looking at Dennis Ugas. So he's in a great position. BFTB. Shout out to the LDBC. And I'm out.